what Joe Cool did or what Josh Allen didn't do?
No, this is all about Joe Burrow. He's sensational, Skip. The guy's in his second postseason, I think it's 6 games now, Skip. And he's already the franchise leader in passing postseason yards. Ken Anderson played, I think, like 13, 14 years there. Boomer Esiason played another 10, 12, 13 years there.
Ken Anderson got him to that Super Bowl against the
49ers in Detroit.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And here, this kid in his third year, in his second year in the postseason, and he's already the all-time franchise leader. Skip, they dominated from the word go. They kicked the ball off, and they got the ball and went right down the field. And when a team does that to you in your building in the playoffs, it puts you on notice. You're like, uh-oh, they for real.
What did we talk about on Friday? You said you're mystified by this new trend of, you win the toss and you say, oh, we'll give you the ball.
Skip, if you got the 85 Bears, you got the Ravens defense,
Okay, I got it.
I'm going to let them set the tone.
But if you've got John Elway, what do?
We take the ball.
We want the football.
You got Joe Burrow, take the football.
Yeah.
And they took the football, and they went right down the field, and the Buffalo knew they were in trouble. Because guess what? They stopped Buffalo, and they went right back down the field, and they got another 14. And they said, we're really in trouble. And I never got the sense, even at 17-10, that Buffalo really had a chance to win this game because Cincinnati dominated from the word go. In all 3 phases of the game, Joe Burrow was sensational, and when you can run the ball, they got 34 rushes, 172 yards in that element, which slowed Buffalo's rush down. That's why they signed Von Miller. They don't really have one guy that can consistently go get the quarterback. That's why you give Von Miller, an older veteran, the kind of money, because he was the guy that could consistently do that. And when he went down, yeah, you have guys, and Leslie Frazier can get exotic with his scheme, but at the end of the day, Skip, I need one guy to go whip that guy's ass and go put the quarterback on the ground. And they didn't have that yesterday. And Joe Burrow and Higgins, and even though Higgins didn't have a great game, it was basically Chase and Hurst, those guys doing the work. But this wasn't about Josh Allen. Look, they can't run the football. I mean, Skip, they had 19 rushes. 8 of them came from Josh Allen. That's not going to win you a playoff game.
I agree.
And we've been talking about this all year. They need to get a runner. They need to be able to run the ball. They need to be able to run the ball. You can't just keep relying on Josh Allen heroic. So I won't say Josh Allen played terrible, but the way Joe Burrow played yesterday, that looked like the team to beat in the AFC. And I know it's not going to be easy in Kansas City, and we're going to talk about Patrick Mahomes and his injury. But, Skip, the way the Bengals have been playing the last month and a half of the season, that offense is clicking. And their defense, they make enough plays. Now, being hobbled like Patrick Mahomes, and he came back in the ball game, they're going to shoot that ankle up. I know I've had high ankle sprain. They're going to shoot it up.
I'm assuming they shot it up.
Of course they did.
At halftime.
Of course they did.
Yep.
And they're going to give him a little Toradol. They're going to try to take as much pain as they can out of that ankle.
By the way, you can shoot the ankle and make it better. Yeah?
You can.
Make it feel better anyway.
Your boy know about it. I shot mine up for 11 straight weeks.
Okay.
But, Skip, and Cincinnati did this with a makeshift line. 3 of their starters that they started the season with are out.
I don't get it.
They got these guys. I ain't know who these. I'm like, who are you? Where you come from?
I don't know.
Hakeem, Olajuwon, Hakeem from Coming to America. Them the only Hakeems I know.
Yep.
And they got one starting, and they did a number on them. 172 yards. Skip, that's more than 16 of the 17 games that they played in the regular season. Only one time did they rush for more yards than that in the game. And then they did this in a playoff game, on the road, in the snow. They're not to be messed with.
So, Shannon Sharpe, I was sorry on my game picks over the weekend, except for this one.
Guess what? That was the only one I got wrong.
That's true. And yet, my heart was with the Jags. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Right.
And my heart was with the Giants because I really had this vision of an NFC championship game at Jerry World. And fortunately, that's one silver lining to my Cowboys losing. At least we didn't blow the opportunity for an NFC championship game. But I've been on the Bengals since preseason. I said they were going to repeat as AFC champions, and now they have to go back to Mahomes to try to pull that off again.
Right.
But yesterday was a tour de Bengals force.
Yeah.
When I turned on my TV and saw how hard it was snowing, my first thought was, man, this is literally Buffalo weather. And I thought, the Bills are going to love this. They're going to flourish in this weather, aren't they? And then they win the toss, and they say, you guys try this footing. And as you well know, the difference is that if you're a receiver and you know where you're going and the DB doesn't know where you're going, you probably have the advantage.
You have a decided advantage.
And so Joe Burrow says, watch this, because his whole life, his whole modus operandi is watch this. That's how he's built. That's how he's made. Oh, you want to sell tickets to a potential NFC neutral site game in
AFC
Atlanta?
neutral, yeah.
Oh, well, you better get ready to refund.
Refund it.
Right? And here he comes, and he goes boom, 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 goes 5 for 5 right down the field. And if we could see the throw to Chase that made it 7-0. And listen, I'm all about Jamar Chase. I just think
they just have a chemistry, Skip. I mean, they went to college together,
Yep,
and we
did.
know what they, if I'm not mistaken, I think Chase was Blitnikoff winner.
He was. And again, I'll take him slightly over Justin Jefferson. I got nothing but respect for Justin Jefferson as a talent. But there's some intangible.
Well, one guy got Joe Burrow throwing to
no, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. That's fair. That's a fair point. Okay, so then the magician takes over again at 7-0, and they face 3rd and 7 down at the 15-yard line. And this is about as sweet a play call and operated play as you will see, because Burrow fakes the quick screen to Jamar, and everybody sucks up. See the little quick pump fake? And then he gets Hayden Hurst behind the DB, behind the safety, and he hits him right in stride for the 14-0 touchdown. And it was just shell shock in Buffalo because they're like, oh my God, we just got hit twice right between the eyes. Okay, then I'm going to just throw it just for fun because this could have made it 21-7, but it's this play on the back line too, said Jamar Chase. It's 3rd and goal from the 10-yard line, and this is another sweet throw by Burrow to Chase. And this, to me, Mr. Sharpe, you having caught a number of these kind of balls, this is a touchdown, and I'll tell you why. It's the end zone we're talking about here, and I know there's the Megatron rule. You got to go to the ground and control. But he gets 2 feet down in the end zone. Then as he is leaving the end zone, Milano gets his hand in and dislodges the ball briefly. Okay, that's not Chase's fault. He's just trying to cling to the football. But he does secure it as he is on the ground. But you have to take into account the defensive player is actually fighting the ball out of his hands after he's leaving the field of play into out of bounds territory.
So once Milano pulls it, Skip, now he has to reestablish it again. And when he goes to the ground, you see the ball move. Okay. And I tweeted, that's not a touchdown.
Okay, I thought it was a touchdown. I thought by okay, I give you letter of the law, but your eyes tell you it's a touchdown because he did what he needed to do to secure the football and had it in complete control, leaving the end zone with both feet.
I think in a game of this magnitude, Skip, they're going to go with the letter of the law because the last thing they want to have happen, especially in a playoff game, and I think that's what they went through with the Cowboys, and I know that was a while ago, that was 7-8 years ago, is that go to the ground, you must maintain possession throughout the entirety of the act of catching the football. And because even though Milano pulled it, so now I got to reestablish, and when he hits, you see the ball does move in his stomach.
It did because Milano moved it. It wasn't because Jamar couldn't secure it. It was already secured. So to me, to move it out of bounds as you're falling to the ground does not constitute the Megatron rule, where that was just nobody was touching the football. He went to the ground in Chicago and hit the ground and was juggling the football. Okay, now to your point about the offensive line, how do you do this? It's just the reason I picked Cincinnati, I told you on Friday, is there's no Von Miller. And you and I have agreed for years on this. You want to talk about a game changer. He is a big game hunter. And once they lost him, they were never quite the same. And everybody kept trying to make them the favorite. They're the favorite. They were the betting favorite. They're the odds-on favorite. No. There's no Von. And yet he's lost each of the last 3 weeks. He loses a starter, Joe Burrow does. And it doesn't seem to faze him at all. He just keeps operating. I don't know if they rise for him, if they just love him and they want to protect him as best they can. But he wasn't touched yesterday. And usually he is touched because last year he was the most sacked quarterback in the league in both the regular and
he got sacked once for 2 yards, but that was on a scramble play.
It was a scramble play, and it didn't really count. He's just he is so in control. He gets rid of the ball so quickly. He is playing at such a supremely high level because he's the flip side of Josh Allen. He finds the open receiver quickly. That's what he and Brady have always had in common, why I've always said he's the closest thing to Brady of the young gun quarterbacks. The difference is he will stand in there. If you want to come and get him, just come and get him. He'll just stand and throw it anyway. And yet this whole team has taken on his personality because they play with swagger. They play smart. They play extremely physical football on both sides of the ball. And it emanates, ironically, from the quarterback, who's a physical playing quarterback.
It seems like they really love playing for the kids, Skip. You remember when he was coming out, they was talking about his hand size. And he says, I don't know what I'm going to do with these little tiny hands. Because they talk about all the weather, to be able to grip the football. You know, he's going to be in Cincinnati, and you got to play in Cleveland, and you got to play in Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Well, how did those little hands do yesterday? You keep talking about somebody's hands. Hey, can he play football?
Yeah. So usually I would have an issue with Eli Apple after the game, and a couple of his teammates were smoking cigars, like victory cigars. And I'm like, that's a little premature here. You got this little game next week. Maybe you want to smoke.
Not for the division. Championship game, I get that. No problem. But not the divisional round.
But this is the Joe Burrow effect.
Yes.
And Eli Apple has taken a lot of abuse in this league because he gets tricked as much as anybody does. But he hung in yesterday, and I thought he played very well in the grand scheme of things. So the flip side of that was that, quickly, and we'll go deeper into this later, but Stephon Diggs went sort of TO on Josh Allen, was marching up and down in front of him after they failed on a fourth down in the fourth quarter. And the problem with Diggs was he had his lowest catch percentage in all of his 3 seasons in Buffalo and had only 1 reception for 8 yards in the second half. He is frustrated because Josh Allen doesn't see the field the way Burrow does. Burrow just picks you to pieces, and whoever's the most open is going to get the ball. And he felt like he was open a number of times when Josh just couldn't find him open. So he loses it, and he was going, you can't do it. You can't show up your quarterback. I thought they were soulmates. They've done so many interviews together.
And you know the thing for me, Skip, you know I'm big on that. I'm not going to show you up. Don't show me up. And you don't think Josh Allen wants to get you the ball? That man is force-fed you. I've seen games you've had 14, 15 targets. It's not like all of a sudden now we get into a playoff game, the most meaningful game of our season, and now all of a sudden I don't want to throw you the football? Come on, bro.
You know, I've seen him do so many interviews arm in arm after the game. That bridge could be set on fire.
No, I think it's going to be okay, Skip. And I think sometimes frustration when you're in a moment like that, and, you know, he stood on the field as the confetti was coming down last year when they lost that game. It has been several games that he's like, man, we're so close. Remember, they've been the favorite for the better part of the entire season to not only get to the Super Bowl, to win it.
No, I got it.
And all of a sudden, everything that you thought was going to be, they spent a ton of money, and they go out basically in the same round as they went out last year.
Here he comes. Burrow back to Mahomes.
Burrow back.
He had a great Instagram post about uninvited guests yesterday after that big win as well. And guys, I have to say, I was impressed with that O-line, down 3 starters, and to do what they did in that weather, tremendous job. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.